Welcome to GenBlend, a podcast about bridging the generational gap within marketing, hosted by Infuze.
Hey guys, Stacey Devine with Infuze Marketing. I'm here with Stephanie Haisley from our Infuze team. I'm the baby boomer of the group, and she is the
millennial. Hey there.
So what we want to talk about today is event marketing. We want to talk about what is it and why use it. As you guys probably understand, we are a marketing firm, and this is one of the tactics that we employ.
So Stacey, what do you think event marketing is?
Well, I don't think it is. I know it is. It's a method of selling or promoting a service, product, organization, or a cause. And it utilizes a format that can be social, personable, and or interactive.
And I think when we're talking about event marketing, there's actually two types. So there's offline event marketing and online event marketing. Let me give you an example of what an offline event would be. So recently we did the Passport Wine event for a local wine region. And the entire goal of that was to get regional exposure. And so that guests would understand that there's a wine region up there, go actually visit and experience it. And then also to drive revenue for that association. And so that is a great example of an offline event, actually going to a place for an event. So then, Stace, let me turn it back to you. What is an example of an online event that you have partaken in?
With the advent of digital media and digital marketing efforts, there's things like online auctions where you can develop a fundraiser and it's all done online. Those are one event. You can do online bingo. There's just a variety of tactics that are online as well. Another offline one, just to tie into that, is a fundraising effort for a nonprofit. And of course, that's going to give the nonprofit an audience of people who are going to donate money. And that's important as well. The other thing about what event marketing is that it creates a relationship with people through a theme, cause, or a commonality. For example, wine. We've talked about wine already. Mm-hmm. Wine is a very popular commonality today. We have a couple of different examples of wine events that have been produced as well.
Yeah, so we've done everything from, like I talked about, the regional wine event to maybe a social influencer wine event to bringing the wine into a different region and doing market visits. So there's all different types of events that you can do in person, especially with wine. It makes it easy. But when we talk about these events and why we're doing event marketing, there are some critical factors in why you're doing them in the first place. So a couple that I'd like to hit on first would be the exposure. So when you're doing an event, whether that be online or offline, you're getting exposed to a new audience, whether that be people who had never heard of you before or your loyal fans. You're basically spreading your message out and getting that exposure, which is fantastic. The second thing would be your lead generation. So you're able to collect data and information on all those people who are attending your event. So say you're selling tickets online, you can collect their email address, their mailing address, all the information you want about them in an online form, which is fantastic. And that's just one of the many benefits to holding an event.
Absolutely. I totally agree with Stephanie. And, I always have to have a back in the day because I'm that age. But back in the day, right, you'd go to an event and they'd put a clipboard out in front and they'd say, hey, sign your name, put your phone number and your address on this. And we were foolish enough to do it. And today you sure wouldn't do that. Today, everything is digital. So you can go online, pay for your ticket, and everything's electronic. And the funny thing is they got more information from you that way than they did by the clipboard that was sitting at the desk when you signed in the first place back in my day. So a couple of things that I feel are really important about why we should use marketing, event marketing as a tactic in your business practices is branding and awareness. I think, let's use concerts for an example. You go to a concert and you've always got a big name sponsor, and subliminally that messaging is absolutely everywhere. Their name is everywhere. Their signage is everywhere. You're there for the music, but really the underwriting sponsor knows exactly what they're doing because you're seeing their name everywhere. Another thing from a messaging standpoint, you can use an event to communicate your message. Let's talk about a cause for a second. A nonprofit perhaps that is out to support children in the foster care environment. When they have an event, they're actually giving you information about their organization you wouldn't have known otherwise. And of course, they're there to develop funds, but the tie into the developed funds is that they also want you to know what their cause is and how they're helping their community. You become educated. And speaking of educated, one of the important things that I feel is good about event marketing is education itself. For example, we have another entity, another business called Loop, L-O-O-P, Loop Workshops, in which we provide training workshops on a variety of business tools for business owners. And that is an educational event that we put together in multiple locations, charge a small stipend, and people spend an hour to 90 minutes with us and they learn something they didn't know before.
And there's something really important about that in person when it comes to those educational events. So I agree completely. What else do you have to say about event marketing?
I think event marketing is very underrated. We obviously, Stephanie and I both know that we get hit up on a consistent basis for people who say, I'm an event planner. And I say, yeah, event planning is much more than linen picking. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree completely. Funny story, actually, for all those listening out there. When I interviewed with Stacey, I told her I was an event planner. And that was basically the response that I got, which was, are you sure? Because it's not just about linen picking. And I still remember that to this day. And, thankfully, I've been trained enough to know that it is not just about linen picking.
And why would you say you're a good event planner today?
Because I'm freakishly organized.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
I keep copies of everything. I love Google Docs. I love having everything digital, but then also in print, having backup. It's all about that organization for me.
Yeah, she is absolutely accurate. There is a component to event marketing. Like Stephanie will say, events aren't as daunting as they seem. And the only reason she says that is because she's done enough of them now where she's gotten her organization down. And she will start pre-planning an event 6 to 9 months in advance. It's always the back end that you don't see that goes into these things when it comes to an event. So with all that being said, we're going to close, but what we want to let you know is that in our upcoming podcast, we're also going to talk about various types of events, some tools and tactics on how to plan them and get your best bang for your buck. And we're also going to give you our vendor list that we have vetted out, because have we not been through the worst of the worst? And we feel pretty strongly that we now have the best of the best.
Agreed.
We thank you so much for hanging with us and listening to our event marketing podcast. Look forward to talking to you soon.
See you next time.
Check out Infuze at infusemarketing.com and our subsidiaries DesignFix, GoPresso, Pixnpost, and Sammy Social. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.